In times of war, the most heartbreaking images are always children suffering, their worlds shattered apart, and you can see the trauma imprinting on their faces, even more so with orphans. And in the war in Ukraine, orphans are caught up not only in the fighting, but in red tape. With us is Justin Hayslett, the founder, managing director of Legacy Refuge, an orphan care ministry working in Ukraine for the last 5 years. Justin, you've been working with orphanages across Ukraine to try to get these kids to safety, provide them with food and clothing. Can you tell us what is the current situation?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having us on. And yeah, obviously the situation is not great. Over the last few weeks, there's been thousands of orphans who've been stuck in Ukraine, and ourselves, along with a lot of other, government people and organizations, have been working to get these kids out. Thankfully, a lot have gotten out, but there's still some that are stuck in there, and directors have waited too long, and they're kind of stuck in with the war now. And some of them have no hope to get out presently, and some of them are en route.
I understand that there's about 200 of these kids that are already in the process of being adopted in America, and those families are having trouble getting their kids out. Can you explain what that situation is?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. There's almost 200 kids that have been hosted. Ukraine does hosting programs through summer and winter. So these kids a lot of them gone to America, connected with families. These families stepped up, started the adoption process, and now some of them were weeks away from finalizing adoption. And here we are in the middle of this war, and we're getting no word from government officials that there's actually a possibility now to either adopt these kids or even get them to the families in America who already know them and love them through this difficult time.
Ukraine, are they just non-responsive, or they've stopped the whole adoption process?
What we've heard is because there's martial law, that basically the regular laws don't exist. Also, they don't have regular functioning government, so there's no way for them to process adoptions. And also they're wanting to keep kids closer into Europe because they're saying, what we've heard is that, once it's over soon, they'll all come back. But obviously we know that this could be a lot longer than a month. This could be a 3 to 6 months or more where these kids are out here. And it's a shame to think that they can't connect to the families who already know them and love them through this traumatic time.
The orphans that have gotten out, where are they now and what's their condition?
We've heard various stories. Some are in Poland. We've heard there's, this massive 9,000 to 10,000 orphans in one facility. There's some that are spread out all over Germany, Poland, Hungary, Romania, all in various conditions. One group just got out and we heard they had barely any food or clothes. So we were able to provide, a donation towards that. But it's all really just unknown. And these kids are in these kind of holding facilities. Some are good facilities, some are not good, and they're just jammed in there. And right now they're not even allowing volunteers or helpers to come. There's guards at the gates. And it's, really not an ideal situation for kids who've already gone through trauma and now they're facing more trauma.
Who are these kids? I mean, what kind of ages are they? I understand it's not little babies, but older kids?
Yeah, a lot of them are older kids. I mean, we have connected with a group that even had some as little as 3. But mostly kids who are in this adoption process are anywhere between 6 and 15 years old.
And are the families that have already a relationship with them, are they able to communicate?
Thank the Lord for phones now, because a lot of people are able to communicate to their kiddos through phones to at least know they're okay. But the conversations I'm hearing my friends talk to their kids about, it's saying, hey, we're fighting for you. We're trying to figure out how to come home to us, but there's just no way to do it right now.
And is the U.S. State Department helping at all?
I'll be honest with you, no. Any messages we've gotten that are coming from the State Department to the adoption agencies, it's basically just completely discouraging news. Like, no, you can't do it. There's no way to get them here for hosting. There's no way to adopt them. It's just basically every time you read one of the updates of communication, it's super discouraging and a hopeless feeling.
Are there people pressing the State Department? Do you know why they're not helping?
I think there's, and I'm not an expert, but, from what I've heard being involved in this for a few weeks is that, first of all, there's no Ukrainian government saying yes. There's a blockade there. And then there's no pathway as a visa to America yet either. So it's just like there's some red tape there's no clear path that we're not seeing through. And meanwhile, these kids who already have families who love them and know them, want the kids there, they're welcoming, they want them, but there's red tape somewhere along the lines. It's just blurring it and not making it happen.
Is there any ability to actually communicate with the relevant ministry in Ukraine, or is the government so disintegrated and chaotic that that's not even possible?
We've tried on certain ends of connections. We know we've made no progress. I don't know if anybody is or who knows who, but yeah, it's definitely not easy. It's definitely very chaotic. And I know there's some sort of government running, but I don't personally know where or how to get a hold of them. And people that do know, it seems like there's no progress being made.
Have you seen any of these kids yourselves? Do you know what kind of shape they're in, how they're doing?
I do, thankfully. We've been connected with about 4 of these orphanages so far. And, kids are kids. They're incredibly resilient. It seems to me that the younger they are, the more it's kind of brushed off. They're still being kids. As I've seen these older kids, you can definitely see the effects that this trauma and the war has had on them, for sure.
Is there anything that people can do to help?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, we want everybody to help pray, and also talk to their representatives to push this issue home. Because like I've been saying, these kids have already they've already experienced trauma in one way to make them an orphan in the first place. Now they're experiencing a second trauma of going through war, moving to a new country, not knowing what's going on. We cannot let these kids who already have a hope of a third family have that trauma of losing that opportunity as well. So we want to ask you to share this video, pray, talk to your local representatives so that we can make some progress and eliminate this red tape to get these kids home to their families, whether it's just a temporary time to, while this war passes so they're safe with a loving family, then they can go back and finish the adoption process, or whatever the governments need to call it. Let's get these kids to the family so they can be in a healthy, healing place so they don't have more trauma compounded on top of what they've already had.
Are you also looking for monetary or material donations to support the orphans?
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, we had about 200 orphans that came out that we donated so they could get food and clothing. We're setting up locations and teams here to help care for kids, not only now, but the next 2 to 3 to 6 months. And after that, once Ukraine opens again, we'll be going to rebuild and be a part of the orphans' lives there for years to come. So we have a fund going right now. It's legacyrefuge.org/crisis, where you can donate. And like I said, we've been doing this for 5 years, and we're here for the long haul in these orphans' lives.
Justin Hayslett, thank you so much for joining us today, and really good luck.
Thank you for having me.
Be sure to watch the entire episode, available on epochtv.com, a new completely censorship-free premium subscription platform, brought to you by the Epoch Times. See you there.